Hi everyone, welcome to the Gloucestershire Live non-league team of the season for the season 2018-19. John Palmer and myself, Richard Joyce, are back again to look at some of the star performers for non-league football in Gloucestershire in the county over the past season. We're going to be discussing some of the star names, picking our team of the year and our manager of the year over the course of the next few minutes. We're actually here at the Johnny Rock Stadium, the home of Cheltenham Town, even though they're in League 2, to be discussing our team of the year. They're preparing for the big Craig David concert that's taking place here in a few days' time. So I apologise for the noise and the strange stage in the background of the goal mouth of the Speedy Skip stand. But we're going to be going over our team of the year, and here's what's coming up on our non-league team of the year on Gloucestershire Live. Let's start then, John, with the goalkeeper. Of course, one of the most important members of the team. We've got actually quite a few contenders for the team of the season for the goalkeeper this season. A couple from Evesham United. Harvey Rivers, of course, started the campaign with Evesham and earned himself a move to Truro City in the National League South. Andy Hanno, who came in to replace him. We've got Lewis Clayton, another keeper who started the campaign with the club at Bishop's Cleeve but earned himself a move away to Sweden. Lewis Adams, the young keeper, of course, came through the under-18s at Slimbridge and then made himself first choice keeper at the Swans. We've also got Alex Harris, who impressed once again for Sinterford Town. And also one we've chucked in, maybe didn't play as many games as the others, but it was Tom King, who of course came out of retirement and perhaps realised he could have played even higher than he did, because he won many awards for Gloucester City as a goalkeeper of the week in the National League South when he filled in there. So pretty healthy to have so many good goalkeepers to be in contention.
Yeah, it's a good all-round list, highly contested position. I think Tom King was probably the story of the season in terms of goalkeeping, the way that he came in at the last minute just to help out and ended up playing a massive role in Gloucester City staying up. So congratulations to Tom King. But I think over the course of the season we had Harvey Rivers did so well that he earned the step up to Truro, as you mentioned, and probably one of the best footballing goalkeepers of the list, along with Lewis Clayton, both very good. Comfortable with their feet, both had good grounding at Cheltenham Town and both gone on to play at a good level, but neither of them spent the whole season playing for our clubs. So if they played the whole season, I think they both would have been really in contention. But I think they're both getting knocked down slightly for obviously leaving early to Lewis Clayton to Sweden and Harvey down to Truro. So I think Lewis Adams deserves a lot of credit stepping up from the youth team at Slimbridge and performing some heroics for them. But I think the man that stands out for me is a man who's been to Gloucester City and ended up back where he started at Cinderford, having helped them win the league a few years ago. It's Alex Harris, who was in the awards for Player of the Year for Cinderford this season. Obviously they've had them one of their best ever seasons, haven't they? Just missing out on promotion, reaching the playoff final, the ridiculous situation where they couldn't go up even if they won, but still they've only gone up once and they came straight back down again, so it shows how high that achievement is in terms of Cinderford's history. So Paul Michael's done a brilliant job in getting someone like Alex Harris back in goal. That's made a massive difference. So I think he's probably, over the course of the season, been the highest quality, most consistent keeper, although there's been some other really good contributions. Yeah,
absolutely. Got a couple of good keepers at Sinterford, haven't they? Got Jordan Dibble as well, but Alex Harris has been number one there and subsequently has been selected as our number one for the Gloucestershire non-league team of the year. So that's the goalkeeper done, Alex Harris, our number one. It's now time to move on to the men in front of him. And of course, here at the Johnny Rock Stadium with Cheltenham in League 2, a back three has worked incredibly well for Michael Duff so far this season. So we're going to go for a back three ourselves and see what we can do with that. So, again, look, plenty of contenders, but we've gone for the three that we think should be featured. John, I'll quickly run through that three. We're going to start on the right-hand side of our three with someone who perhaps played in a team that struggled the most out of all the Gloucestershire teams this season in non-league football. Of course, that was Shortwood United, getting relegated from the Western Premier their first season at that level. But Joe Triner won plenty of end-of-season awards and he's made our back three. Then moving on into the middle, we've got someone from Bishop's Cleeve in the Atlantic Premier, Jordan Statten. He's going to go into our back three as well. And then also someone a bit higher up in the National League South who really has stood out this season. He's been there for a while, but he really seems to have come to the fore this season. That's Spencer Hamilton. He's completing our back three. Some other contenders we had, people like Ellis Dunton at Cirencester as well, but those three, Joe Triner, Jordan Statten and Spencer Hamilton are the three we've gone for as our three centre-backs.
Yeah, I think this will be the season that Spencer Hamilton will look back on and sort of think he came of age, because he's been a good up-and-coming player for a while. He's actually got a decent amount of appearances under his belt for a young lad, especially for a centre-half. He's been going through his studies at Hartbury He's got natural leadership qualities, and I think he's been, based on reports and chats and conversations I've had, I've not seen a massive amount of him this season, but I think he's really grown up and become the leader that everyone thought he could be. You know, he was an up-and-coming, promising young player at Cheltenham. His dad, John, used to play for Cinderford when they had the famous FA Cup run under Tim Harris, and I think he showed a bit of that sort of spirit. But he's also got a bit of quality with the left foot as well, and you know, he could play at left back in a 4, but I think centre half, you know, winning headers and doing all the dirty work, he's exceptional at that. I think he's, for his age, as I said, he's got a lot of experience under his belt, so he definitely deserves his place, and he'd be a contender for captain as well. I think Joe Triner, I know how highly Joe Tustin rates him, worked under him at FC Barometrics in the Northern Senior League last year. He stepped up to the Western League, and like you said, it's been a tough season for Shorewood, but I think Triner has been by some distance their best player and the most consistent performer, and I've got no doubt, based on what he's done so far, that he can play higher. He's a Cheltenham Town fan working at Forest Green this season, which has been interesting for him, so he's obviously doing a sports science degree at the University of Gloucestershire, and he's progressing well with his studies, but if he carries on this sort of form, he's going to have clubs interested at slightly higher level, because he's still very young and he's sort of slipped through the net a little bit, playing at Barometrics in Northern Senior. Decent standard, but I think he's proven this year he can step up. Jordan Staton, another lad who probably is wise beyond his years, another Hartbury product who's had a lot of success there in university football, but he's been outstanding for Cleve this season, and it was a season of what is for Cleve, wasn't it? Nearly got promoted, got to the final of the GFA Trophy, just missed out, but I think Staton was Mr. Dependable for Steve Cleal, and I think, you know, he's had interest and offers from Southern League clubs, and hopefully Cleve will keep him, because he's going to be a massive miss if he does move on. But outstanding season for all three of them for different reasons, really. Yeah,
there's our Gloucestershire non-league defensive 3 then for the season: Joe Triner, Jordan Staton and Spencer Hamilton. So like I say, we're playing a 3 at the back. That means, of course, we need to chuck 5 into our midfield. So we're going to play with 2 wing-backs like we have done here at Cheltenham this season. So, John, you know, it's interesting. There's a lot of full-backs, attacking-based full-backs, but of course we're going to try and fit 2 wing-backs in. So we're going to play around a little bit with this in terms of how we fit players into the formation. Some really exciting full-backs in sort of non-league football here in the county at the moment. I think the likes of Will Christopher again has stood out at Cirencester. Obviously you've got the likes of Adam Mace, who's always been around for quite a while now. Lewis Binns at Cinderford this season. You've got also people like Sam Turl, who's also been at Cinderford on the other side of the pitch for Paul Michael's team this year. But the 2 wing backs we've gone for, we've tried to be a bit inventive. One of them you think probably is a wing back, the other who perhaps playing a bit deeper down because we wanted to fit him into the team. We'll start with the left hand side, and that's the natural one. I think Adam Mace is going to be our choice as the left wing back for the Gloucestershire non-league team of the season. But on the right hand side, we're sticking in someone who has been pivotal, you could say, in keeping Gloucester City in the National League set up once again. That of course is Fabien Robert, the Frenchman. Of course he played a bit higher up the pitch for Gloucester, but we're going to stick him in our starting 11 as a wing back, because of course his role for the Tigers this season has been massive.
Yeah, I think Mace just gets the nod ahead. Lewis Binns, who also had an excellent season. You know, he's always reliable, exciting young player. He's done well for quite a few clubs in the county, and I've definitely had a good season with Cinderford. But I think Mace, one of the best left foots in the Hellenic Prem, and one of those major players as Cleve had still I think had a good season, even though it ended in disappointment in the end. I still think they've set themselves up nicely for hopefully kick on again next season and chance for promotion. So I think Mace perfectly suited to left wing back. Robert, we just had to find room for him somewhere, didn't we? He's such a talent, should be playing a lot higher, but Gloucester benefited from his ability, scored some absolute wonder goals. Could probably put him anywhere on the pitch and he'd do a good job, even in goal probably, but you know, certainly one of the most talented players that we mentioned today. And he's going to come in at right wing back, but we won't expect too many defensive duties of him. And I think those two will work quite well in the wing back positions with that solid back 3 that we've already gone through.
Definitely. So adding to that back 3, Fabien Robert and Adam Mace as our 2 wing backs, and next up is going to be the midfielders. And as you can imagine, there are plenty of contenders for our central midfield roles. Let's quickly run through the names that we particularly picked out as, you know, having done a good job for their club this season and were on our list. We'll start with Cinderford's Lorcan Sheehan. At Tuffley Rovers in the Hellenic Premier, Kieran Older. Michael Pook and all his experience, of course, at Cirencester Town, himself a former player here at the Johnny Rocks. We've also got Harley Price, who scored a lot of goals from a midfield position for Cheltenham Saracens, and of course Joe Turley at Evesham as well, who scooped a lot of their end of season awards.
This was one of the toughest to narrow this down to 3, although we could have had 2 if we'd gone 4-4-2, but having 3 really difficult to narrow it down with all those quality players you mentioned. But what we've gone with is two slightly deeper players. So Joe Turley and Lorcan Sheehan, former Cinderford Town teammates, I believe now. Obviously one at Evesham, one at Cinderford. Both been excellent. And then just ahead of them, Harley Price of Cheltenham Saracens. So that's our final decision, Joycey?
That's right. So I think I've watched Lorcan Sheehan a few times this season, and he's kind of really established himself as probably one of the leading central midfielders in the Southern League in Gloucestershire, you'd have to say. Of course, was at Forest Green as a youngster, went to Cheltenham Saracens for a bit, and has built himself up and become a vital part of Cinderford's team, of course, alongside the likes of Ben Watkins in Paul Michael's midfield. So we think he deserved his place this year. And the other one we think he deserves, as you say, is Turley at Evesham. Scooped, like I said, a lot of the end of season awards. Very consistent player, very reliable player, and really gets them ticking in the middle of the park when he's in action for Evesham, when Paul Collicutt was, of course, in charge there this season. And finally, like we said, just in front, Harley Price, had an unbelievable season. Another who's played a lot of Southern League football for various different teams, but he's dropped down to the more local Cheltenham Saracens and Atlantic Division 1 West this season. And when him and Adam Loveridge were scoring the goals at the beginning of the season, they were an unstoppable force right at the top of the division. Of course, unfortunately, in the end, they didn't quite manage to achieve what they wanted to achieve at Petersfield Park. But Harley Price, with his goals, definitely makes himself a place in our team. So Lorcan Sheehan, Joe Turley and Harley Price are midfield three. So well done to them.
Yeah, I also want to mention, particularly with Joe Turley and Harley Price, they both come back from really serious injuries to start playing well again. So Harley Price has had heart worries, heart murmurs and problems. He had to stop playing when he was at Cleve. He's had knee operations, and he's back playing. And it's, even though he's dropped down from Southern League to Hellenic 1 West, it's great to see him playing regularly and doing well again. So I'm sure he can play higher. And Joe Turley, he had a really nasty injury. He was out for about a year, and he's come back and shown what Evesham were missing while he was out. So all three of them deserve their places, and are all really good players in the county that I think are capable of playing higher.
So it's on to perhaps one of the most exciting parts of our Gloucestershire non-league team of the year, and of course that is the forward area. And as always, John, so many names to potentially mention, and so it's going to be a tightly fought contest to get into our front two for this team of the year. Let's quickly go through some of the names we mentioned, we've discussed, starting with Elliot Kennedy at Bishop's Cleeve. Again, proved his worth by scoring a lot of goals this season. Brad Martin, who started the campaign at Cleeve but ended up back at Long Levens. James Campbell, another one who travelled well. He's at Evesham for a bit, Long Levens, and ended the campaign with Brimscombe and Thrupp. Ben Whitehead, yet again in amongst the goals for South Town in the Southern League this year. Alan Griffin, his strike partner as well, a bit of a different player, but scored plenty of goals this season too. Kane Simpson came into the team at Evesham United and definitely scored plenty of goals in a similar amount of appearances really to the amount of goals he got. I think something towards 17-18 goals for Evesham. We've got Lewis Thompson, former Cheltenham Town youngster, who of course started the season goals-wise really well at Lydney. We've also got Adam Loveridge, who again, brilliant start to the season with his goals. And finally, one up-and-coming striker who I think is definitely a name to look out for, and that's Owen Windsor, who of course had a fantastic end to the campaign at Cirencester, and we're really excited to see potentially what he could be doing moving forward as well. And finally, our other final contender is Sam Blackie, who yet again was in amongst the goals for Brimscombe and Thrupp in the Hellenic Premier this season too.
Yeah, that is quite a list, isn't it? Loads of goals in that team and a lot of different types of players. But we have not mentioned any Brimscombe players yet in terms of our starting 11 for this Dream Team of the Year. And Brimscombe have had an excellent season, second in the Hellenic Prem, not going to make the step up to Southern League this year, which is just pure bad luck, because most years finishing second would have been enough for them. And they are ready, I think, now to make the step up. But they are really a strong team unit, aren't they? Sam Pry's got them well drilled, well organised, great bunch of mates that get on well, close-knit, a lot of talent. But I think that there aren't that many outstanding individuals. They are very much a well-drilled team. But I think if there is one sort of jewel in the crown of Brimscombe, it's Sam Blackie. I think pure ability-wise, he stands out. And I'm sure he is capable of stepping up and playing higher. So I think Blackie deserves the place in the team in the number 10 role. And then the number 9 role, I mean, Whitehead walked it last season with the amount of goals he scored. Yeah. Unbelievable goal record. He unfortunately picked up an injury and missed the end of this season, but Owen Windsor came in and picked up brilliantly for Cirencester, and what a great season they had. But I think in terms of if you wanted a big man to play up front with Blackie, there's one that stands out, isn't there? Who's been consistently all the way through the season and consistently scored, consistently been nightmare for defenders, and I think he'll be a good partner for Blackie, and it is
Alan Griffin.
Yeah, Alan Griffin, number 9.
Brother of Charlie, of course, the manager. What a great signing he's been for Cirencester. It's amazing, really, the amount of goals that Whitehead and Griffin have scored for Siren to help them get to where they've got to this season. You know, I think that their team that played in that playoff semi-final against Cinderford, and there's so many young lads, you know, Tommy Anderson, Jordan Morris came off the bench, Owen Windsor, who we've mentioned already, Will Christopher, Louis Spalding, you know, even lads who've come through the system like Ellis Duntons. But then, you know, a huge part of Cirencester's success this season has been the goals that have been scored by the likes of Alan Griffin and Ben Whitehead this season. So we thought Alan Griffin, for his leadership and for his goals, deserved a place alongside Sam Blackie in our team of the season. So I'll quickly run through that team of the season. Of course, like we said, a 3-5-2 formation. And goal, our keeper was Alex Harris of Cinderford. Our back three, Joe Triner of Shortwood, Jordan Statton of Bishop's Cleeve, and Spencer Hamilton of Gloucester. The wing backs, Fabian Robert of Gloucester and Adam Mace of Bishop's Cleeve. Our midfield three was Lorcan Sheehan of Cinderford, Joe Turley of Evesham, and Harley Price of Cheltenham Saracens. And as we've just been discussing, our front two, Alan Griffin and Sam Blackie. That's our team of the year done then. Now it comes to the important point, and let's think about potentially the man who we want to choose as our manager of the year in the dugout. Again, lots of contenders, some really good managerial performances. Some of the names similar, I think, to our contenders last season, and no surprise really, given how successful they've been with their clubs this year.
Yeah, I mean, first person that springs to mind when you start at the top of the pyramid in non-league football is Mike Cook, coming in on what looked like a bit of a lost cause. And first of all, he made them solid, a lot of goalless draws and narrow 1-0 wins, narrow defeats, and then they had a real flourish, helped by people like Robert, but a lot of other people stepped up, and, you know, brilliant achievements, keep Gloucester City up. They needed to stay up with the ground within touching distance now after 12 years of misery. They're nearly there, and they didn't want to go back to that new ground in the Southern League. They're obviously moving to National League North now, but you'd have bitten your Gloucester City fans, I think, would have bitten your hand off, been offered the chance to stay up when Mike Cook took over. So well done to Mike Cook for keeping Gloucester City up, although obviously he wasn't in charge for the whole season. Moving down slightly, Cirencester Town, brilliant season, lost in the playoff semi-final to Cinderford in a strange game because Cinderford knew they couldn't go up, but Cirencester can still look back with pride on their season. So well done to Charlie Griffin. He's put together a really good, you mentioned it earlier, a lot of combination of the experience of people like Pook, Alan Griffin, Adam Connolly, and then some really good exciting youngsters like Will Christopher, Owen Windsor, and then the Cirencester born and bred, you know, through the ranks, probably played 300 odd games for the club already, like Aidan Bennett and people like that, and and Ellis Dunton, there's some really good servants there as well. So they've got a great balance. Love playing on that 3G pitch. And when Whitehead's back, hopefully, pre-season, they could go for strength to strength. I'm sure they'll be challenging against year. So well done to Charlie Griffin. Paul Michael deserves a mention. Cinderford, excellent season. Not huge resources. Really well-drilled team. Plays a nice style of football. Got some hard peak players as well.
Yeah.
But also got plenty of talent. And they've got a nice combination of experience and exciting youngsters. And I think they've made huge strides since he basically started Paul from scratch, didn't he, after the problems they had where they went up and had no team.
Yeah, of course, got to the Southern League Cup final this season as well.
Yeah, so they've sort of probably had one of their highest ever league finishes, reached the Southern League Cup final. Again, excellent season. Dropping down, Bishop's Cleeve, season of what ifs. Steve Quill, it's not an easy task to get Bishop's Cleeve up there. I mean, they may have been seen as slightly big fish that come down from the Southern League, but certainly not easy. And I think Steve's done a good job and just missed out on two fronts, but still a good season for Cleeve. I think Steve Cleve's done a good job. You've got to give credit to people like Tuffley for staying up. Well done to Tuffley for staying up. Long Levens for a while, with quite a lot of the season, looked relegation threatened, and Craig Martin has done a good job there to guide them away from trouble. So those two clubs, most important things, they stayed in the division. Brimscombe, outstanding, best ever season in terms of league finish, second in the Hellenic Prem with no budget. You know, they're up against teams that have got relatively decent budgets for that standard of football, and a lot of the big-ish spenders went up last year, didn't they? Thatcher and Bracknell, and there was another one, wasn't there, that went up last year? But Highworth all had money, all gone, but there's still teams in that. So for Brimscombe to finish the top Gloucestershire team in that division, based on that unity we were speaking about earlier, is an outstanding achievement from Sam Price, so well done to him. Saracens, Ryan Betteridge, with good assistance from Stuart Mitchinson, they've got themselves going again. They're going in the right direction. We predicted it pre-season that they'd do well this season. Yeah. Fortunately, they didn't win the league, but they're right up there all season, and they now look ready to return to the Premier. And then, you know, a bit lower down, we've had teams like in the County League that deserve mention, Stonehouse and Frampton. Stonehouse obviously recently appointed a new manager in Osborne and Logan Giles, but they had another excellent season. Those sort of teams look like they want to get involved in the Hellenic League. Fairford have made progress under Jody Bevan this season. It wasn't a relegation battle, and they're a bit more comfortable. Lydney, Mark Lee's last season in charge, and they finished mid-table. Not an easy achievement, with the resources they got and some of the clubs are up against. So there's loads of good managerial performances to consider. So having gone through all those in a little bit of detail, what stands out for you, Joycey?
Again, the amount of teams that have finished in the top echelons of their leagues this year. Bishop's Cleeve didn't quite achieve the bounce back they wanted to achieve, but they at least finished in the top 5 of the Hellenic Premier. Obviously, Brimscombe and Thrupp finishing second is an amazing achievement, and right until the last day, they potentially could have gained promotion to the Southern League for the first time in their history, which would have been amazing with no budget at all, of course. But then, of course, you step up a level to the Southern League South Division 1, and you've got Cinderford and Cirencester both making the playoffs, which is a great achievement in itself. And hopefully next season, with the FA restructuring being more settled, next time if they do manage to do that again, they'll know that they can go into the playoffs being able to get promoted this time round, instead of having to go for any super playoffs or any potential points not having enough points situation.
Yeah.
So great to see so many teams finishing at the top end, and then of course teams like Gloucester again continuing to recover. So improvement in the Hellenic League. Fairford, big improvement on their campaign when Jody Bevan had his first season there at Cinder Lane. But I think for our manager of the season, we're going to go for one of those Hellenic League teams, and I think it was a man that actually may have won the award last season potentially, and but has done it yet again with an even more improved season this time round.
Yeah, Sam Pryor, I think, if you take into consideration, in context where they finished in the past, they've always been looking like a good Hellenic League Premier Division team, 5th, 6th, which is a great achievement with the resources they've got. But to finish second is truly outstanding, and they deserve to go up, really. And like we said earlier, this is probably the only season in recent years or in the future where they wouldn't have gone up as runners up. So massively unlucky not to be going into the Southern League next season. But I think of all the clubs that we watch and that we speak to and that we look at, there's not many that are as close-knit, if any, as close-knit as Brimscombe, and I think that's got to come down to the manager. He's got a lot of characters in that squad, but obviously they want to play for him, they enjoy their football, there's plenty of ability there. People like Blackie, we mentioned, there's plenty, you could go through the whole team, there's plenty of good players in there, but they're a really good unit. They're greater than the sum of their parts, and I think that's got to be, a lot of credit given to Sam Pryor for that, so I think he deserves the Manager of the Year award. Yeah,
one thing that Brimscombe have always been good at doing ever since Phil Baker was the manager and took them into the Hellenic Premier is sort of transforming the team a little bit. And of course, one person who's retiring at the end of this season is Chris Greenoff. Hundreds of appearances for Brimscombe and in his career overall with the likes of Shortwood and as well. It'll be an interesting process now to see who they bring in to replace Chris Greenoff, who's been such a key part of that team now he's retired. But it'll be just another thing that I'm sure they look to do at Brimscombe, and the higher of course you finish, the more interest they get from better players. The likes of Jack Horrell came in and joined the team this season, so I'm sure they'll have that again over the course of the summer.
Yeah.
And it'll be very interesting to see what they can achieve next year in the Hellenic Premier. Obviously again looking to try and finish at the top end of the table, as will of course one of their nearest rivals, Bishop's Cleeve, as well.
Yeah, I just want to say well done to Jason Scribbins and Joe Tustin at Shortwood for battling against all the odds. Obviously they've moved now to Hellenic Division 1 West, but they didn't give up. Tough season, they got that first win, which must have felt like winning the FA Cup final. So well done to them for battling on. Well done to Lee Driver Dickinson for keeping Slimbridge again in the Southern League.
Yeah.
We haven't really mentioned them much because they're just battling away, trying to stay up. But again, it's not easy. They're not a big club at that level, are they? So there's a lot of good work going on, and that all deserves recognition.
Yeah, and Slimbridge using a lot of their under-18s team that have been introduced this season as well. The likes of Jacob Waddington, Lewis Adams, Adam Bloomfield, all getting a lot of Southern League game time, which is some of these lads are only 16, 17, 18. So that's going to do them the world of good moving forward, certainly.
Yeah, but Sam Pryor, well done, and hopefully they can go on and make that step up to the Southern League in coming, if not next season, very soon.
Yep, we'll be keeping an eye out and seeing what happens. So Sam Pryor, our team manager of the year once again. So I think that's it for us on our non-league team of the season. Thanks very much for joining us here at the Johnny Rocks Stadium. I hope you have a great summer off. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of debate now and players training for about 4 or 5 different teams before they finally sign for them, and then play for about 3 different teams next season in some cases. But we'll keep an eye out and we'll see what happens. But
After watching Craig David.
Yeah, we're off to go and watch Craig David now. But thanks very much for your time. That's the Gloucestershire non-league team of the season here on Gloucestershire Live.